Down.
Hello.
Hello.
How's
Theo.
it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. We don't have any better treats.
Hello. No, we don't.
What are we stuck with today?
Just like store-bought treats.
Yeah.
Oh,
We don't have any like meat or deli meat or salmon chicken.
I guess it's time to go shopping.
what about cheese?
Or
No.
cheese. You don't have cheese?
Wow.
No,
Oh,
we
wow.
literally.
Did he eat this morning?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
He's always hungry.
He's
though.
always hungry. He's literally always hungry, I feel like.
He's always.
Okay. How'd it go this week?
What do you
I was
had a
with him
couple,
like all week.
Yeah, you had a couple things. Yeah, I had my my state boards for nurse practitioner, so I was pretty focused on that, but I passed.
Sure.
So
Congrats.
Two
Good treat.
I have to eat one of these treats, Theo.
I put it in my nose.
I know a big thing was she was telling me when they were walking, he was just.
Oh, he
pulling
was
like
really
crazy.
bad on one of my walks.
Okay.
He went 2 walks that day. Pretty long walks, both of them. So I was like, I
Hey.
don't know if it was just too much for him or what, but there was a lot of dogs out. It was like 7 p.m.,
Sure.
like nice, perfect day. So I think everyone was out, and he was terrible. I could not get him to like walk the way I wanted to at all.
Okay.
So
What were you walking him on?
Just the
Just
flat
like-
collar.
yeah.
We didn't end up ordering that gentle leader right away, so it's still not here.
Okay.
Yeah, And then I was like, oh my god, like, cause I like looked at the videos and I watched the golden retriever one correcting the puppies and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like making a point. I don't know, talking to my mom or something. So I watched that one and then I'm like, oh my god, we didn't look at these other ones. We're bad students,
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really tells you a lot about our approach to correcting versus their natural way of correcting.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that list together because I plan on doing a video kind of just breaking down how it works. But as humans, because we're self-aware, we have more of a spectrum of aversives, like it could be a timeout. It could be a removal of video games or whatever the kid really likes, being grounded, not being able to see your friends for a month. Like you're aware of that and just how that feels, right? Dogs aren't. So that really removes those kinds of things from the correction spectrum. And there's other things like the can of pennies, the pet corrector, the compressed air, the clap and the no, which at the end of the day, like dogs, I just told you about dogs bite each other, right? And in my opinion, that's how they relate everything. They relate everything to. It's like, all right, yeah, you shook that can of pennies, but who cares? We bite each other, And that's where physical aversives come into play. On occasion, I get the dog that's super sensitive. Like I did have a Cane Corso that I trained as a puppy, and even as an adult, the dog was super spooked of the pet corrector. So the lady had like a 130-pound female Cane Corso who was scared of the pet corrector. But that's like one dog or one puppy that I trained out of 50 puppies for the year.
Yeah.
I forgot it that day, but then I went on another walk, and I took it with me. But he was fine on that walk. So there was just a lot of dogs. I want him to like walk past a dog calmly.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then I feel like maybe I was confused because I remember you were saying that like the physical pressure of you pulling on his collar or something like that can over time like cause it to be like a negative association with seeing another dog. But like, I don't want him to fear other dogs or like, you know what I mean? We're not aggressive or whatever,
Right.
But I don't want him to get the wrong message that it's like, it's okay to see a dog, but you have to be like calm, I guess, or because like he's about to, or we take him outside, he's about to go poo, someone walks by and then suddenly we lost focus and we're outside for another 10 minutes, not literally 10 minutes. He doesn't take that long, but
Yeah. No, so it does take time for that to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the time you're not going to screw them up in the span of a week or so.
Yeah.
The gentle leader just gives you a lot more control while avoiding that pressure against the chest or the neck or on the trachea. And it'll be a lot more easier to manage him. But in my book, it's still not the end of, depending on what the owner wants, it's not the end of training.
Yeah.
For me, it's like for puppies, and if people don't want super advanced stuff, then it's fine, because at least they remove that concept of pressure and the negative association. And I actually just did a consultation. The dog's name is Theo, S-A-O, and I put it on my YouTube. And I'm talking to a lady, and the dog shows up on a harness, and his dog reactive. And I told her, people get their puppies, they put it on a harness, this and this and this and this, and it becomes reactive and then aggressive. And she's like, that's exactly what happened to me. So, but it takes time. So, you guys are still fine. Once you get the gentle leader and you start applying it, it'll be a lot better. But not the ultimate level of training, in my opinion.
Yeah, just a step. But you were saying last time, it's like everything is like stepwise, I guess,
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Well, so I guess we've been kind of bringing him to like I was at my mom's house for like 4 nights, so I brought Theo with the crate and everything, and like when he's at home here with us, we put him in the crate at nighttime and he's fine, not a bark. And at my house, he was barking like crazy. I don't know if it's just because it's a different environment or
new environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I stress using the kennel more rather than less. And not that it won't happen. Like, let's say you use the kennel 9 to 5 and overnight all the time. It's the new setting, the fact that he's outside of his comfort zone. He might get some anxiety. So like when I travel, like if I were to travel and go to a hotel, I wouldn't leave my dogs loose. I'd kennel them. Now my dogs don't have separation anxiety, and I can leave them at home alone, no problem. But the fact that we're in a new environment, completely foreign, and if I were to leave them unattended, I would assume like you guys might be stressed out and destroy something. So the kennel for them now, because it's happened so much over the course of their life, becomes their, how would you say, their common safe place, because it's their kennel, it's their scent. And even though we're in a new environment, there's still that familiarity for them. He's still a pup, so nothing out the ordinary for you. But definitely whenever you go anywhere new, I'd highly suggest bringing that kennel, and the more you expose him to it, the more relaxed he should become. But also you can correct that as well.
Yeah, so I did hit it because I told Alex, I'm like, oh my God, he's like,
yeah, and I'm like, because it was like right after we met with you last time, and I was like, yeah, just like bonk it a little bit,
And it worked.
And it worked. It like literally, right away.
I was like, oh my God.
I'm like, he has to know, because I'm like, if you let him, because we did take his specific crate, with all the whatever. We just have like one of those little foam things or whatever on the bottom,
Little mattress.
The little mattress thingy. And so, I mean, he's used to it, right? But then I was like, he's probably just trying to get out, like, and then you're going to let him out, and then he's going to think that if he barks, he's going to get out. But anyway, so he got corrected and he was fine.
Yeah, good. Excellent. There you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a normal experience for him in terms of what I would expect to see. I'm not concerned about it. The fact that you addressed it is really good. Had you not addressed it and let him out, that would be a totally different
conversation. I don't want to let him out because I'm going to think that's what he needs to do.
Yeah. Good. Or we need to, I guess. So you said that you can do that correction. I guess, for example, we're leaving to go wherever, I don't know, the store, and we put him in the kennel. And like, say he starts whining because he realizes we're leaving. Can you correct that in the kennel as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can correct whatever you don't want. Okay. So like, I had a lady many years ago who was training with me and wanted me to teach her dog to stop sniffing dog butts.
Oh.
And I was like, that's the dog handshake.
Yeah.
Now I told her, I was like, I'm not going to cover that with you, because that for me, that's just not, that's dog, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want that. I told her at the end of the day, it is your dog. And if you want to stop it, you can do some research and stop it. I don't care. but I won't teach you myself because that's against the dog's natural instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
oh my
You're not gonna. I mean, you don't support that. That's what I was like. Oh, like I mean,
Yeah.
we've taken
Yeah,
them
for
to like, the dog park and stuff, and it's so funny whenever a new dog walks in, everyone like runs up and they're all sniffing each other and
Yeah,
everything.
you know.
Like that's awesome. They go play.
Unfortunately, dogs are sometimes looked at as like an accessory, which is, still happens.
Yeah.
I rarely come across a person like that now, just because they make it so hard to get to me. And they're like, "Oh, you use prong and e-collar? There's no options." I'm like, "Yep." So I don't typically have to deal with them.
Yeah.
But definitely, you can stop whatever you don't want for sure. Okay. I always tell everybody, your house, your rules. It's going to be different from somebody else's.
Yeah.
And the way we go about it is simply always aversive. So even if, like, let's say, technically speaking, I went to a veterinarian with my dog, and the dog started whining, I can technically correct that, right? But human logic looks behind it and goes, we're in a completely foreign environment. You've never been here before. You're stressed out. You're anxious because it's your first time, right? That I could also let it go because I see everything behind it, right? But there's technically not anything wrong with correcting that whining, because I remember bringing home a dog for a boarding train from Wisconsin, was super anxious, and I brought her in, and I didn't have time to work with her right away. I had to go do some computer stuff. So I just dropped the leash, ran to my computer, and my dogs went up to her, and she kept just pacing in the living room, just in circles. And I saw my pit walk very slowly and just very postured and stern, walked up to her, and as she was passing, she just nipped her, right? And the dog yipped and then just laid down and was really anxious and kind of breathing very heavily, and then 5 minutes later fell asleep. Because my pit said, we don't like that energy in our home.
Yeah.
We disagree with it, right?
That's crazy how they know that, huh?
Yeah. Dog in the animal world, they do not what's the word? Save a weak.
Yeah, I know. I took it's kind of funny. I took an animal behavior class, and I found it so interesting because their mentality on things is so different, and that's what I forgot. My mom's like, "Oh, animals treat, they're young better than humans," and I'm like, "And if they're hungry, then they'll also eat them, because that's all they care about is surviving and spreading their seed further." You know what I mean? So it's all
exactly survive and replicate.
Yeah.
Code.
Yeah.
And when you're able to just finally make that shift. So when I work with dogs, I'm very non-emotional, because that's how dogs are. And I've seen some very emotional stuff. I had a lady break down during a training session once. She literally back against the wall, slid down, and just started bawling. Wow. And we weren't even doing anything difficult really, but her dog, she didn't like how stressed her dog was, because it wasn't she was dog aggressive, and we're working on socializing, and the dog was just shaking and panting and very salivating, and I'm just you got to cut that out because you're not helping the situation. But it's the human component of emotion and compassion that makes things a bit more difficult. Which is why I always push things slowly with my clients. I let them progress at their own pace, because if I push them too hard too soon and something negative happens, their confidence just dips, and then I gotta build that up again. Where the dog is easy. I'm not worried about screwing up the dog.
Yeah. It'll be all right.
I guess the other thing that just came to my head is he doesn't bite anymore really, but if I'm putting my pants on, he'll start. If I'm carrying something, he starts jumping. I mean, when we're eating, it's been pretty bad
it's
nowadays.
The worst. I forgot about that because we talked about this.
Sure.
And he doesn't do it with us because we went for Father's Day. We had whatever barbecue with our dads, and he came by me. He jumped on me. I told him off, and he left. I didn't see him anymore.
But he was by our dad's.
But he went under. Oh yeah, and they were feeding him under the table, and we're like, you can't do that, because then he's gonna know, And then they're well, look, he's hungry and this and that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought it was my grandpa I'd have to worry about, not them. But I guess You know, that's his grandpa.
They're like,
you
you're
know?
not feeding
Exactly.
him.
Not feeding him. The poor dog is hungry. You know, this and that, and then he'll like keep trying and go by them, and he realizes that like they'll give it to him, but sometimes now like with just us, it might have been a little advanced, but we went to get food with some friends at this, I don't know, one of these patio places over here. He was fine the whole time until the food came. Then he was jumping on me and barking, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like dude, and it's just almost not like he reverted, but he thinks that he can get away with it now, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was like frustrating because, you know, it's like we didn't want that, but like, how are you going to sit there and explain it to them if they're like, no, you know?
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had this conversation with someone, and she had the right mentality, actually. It's usually hard to go over this with people, but I tell them, like, so I specialize in aggression and behavior and things like that. That's what I'm known for.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll talk to the owner and they'll say, you know, the dog's making so much progress. But like when my friend comes over, because the dog knows that person and it's safe, but they're like all lovey-dovey. And I'll tell them like, well, it's working against you in terms of how the dog views your level of control.
Yeah.
Like, because the dog goes, well, sure, you're tough when all these people are around, but when this person's around, you're not, right? And I told him, if this happens when your dog is near people it would typically bite, it's going to bite now because it knows that person's there who empowers them. So then I'm like, in my book, if they're not going to respect your rules, then they don't come to your home.
Yeah.
Right? Which for them was like a different aspect to training that they weren't expecting, right? They're thinking it's all the dog. I'm like, no, that's also environmental. So this lady I was speaking with, same thing, like she had her very strict way that she wanted her dogs to be trained. And then she said to herself, and she's like, you know what? Like, we've told our friends, like, it was the first time, we get it. But the next time it's going to be, you either respect our rules with our dog or you're gone. And I was like, kudos to you. Because most people won't
great.
That, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess the thing is that, I mean, if it was like friends and stuff like that, it's
your parents.
Yeah, but it's like the parents, you know. But also, yeah, I don't know. Like, I already know someone I'm going to cut off. I'll tell you that.
Who?
That girl from yesterday.
Oh.
She was fucking with him way too much. I'm like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
She was. I mean,
she was messing with him. Like, he was like barking.
He was. Yeah, like grabbing his mouth and stuff. And he's nipping at me. Well, yeah, you got your fucking hand in his mouth. You know? I'm like grabbing his mouth. I'm like, I just told you to your face. He's not like that. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
Like, she's like, oh, he's playing.
Oh, he's just playing. He's just playing. No, he's not playing. You're grabbing his fucking mouth. Like, I don't know. What do you expect? You know?
Welcome.
Sorry, I got.
No, you're fine. No, let it all out.
Yeah.
It's funny. Welcome to people.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just the way of the world. Like you said, you already know someone you're going to cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, the real tricky part is the stuff that they're technically teaching them is fixable and is very easily fixable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So with the food, the bagging, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? But it's all fixable because it's all about aversives. Okay? Consequence. So he's like, hey, I got away with it for the weekend. And we're like, well, now we're back home and now it's not happening. Yeah. Right. The tricky part is aversives when other people are around. Mm-hmm. Okay. And technically, let's say, you know, you fix everything, you've corrected him, the bonk or whatever, he's doing great. Awesome. You go to the parents' house again. He starts to exhibit the behavior. You have to bonk him, technically. Mm-hmm. Okay. But now you're going to have to deal with your family. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is the complexity of raising a dog.
Yeah.
Like, you could be doing everything to the T, but the people around you will fuck it up for you.
Yeah. And that's exactly, well, I mean, I don't think they intentionally would do it.
No.
You just feel bad.
They're like, oh, it's a dog. He's hungry. You guys don't feed him.
Now, because I've seen everything. I like to think, like, I've seen highly aggressive cases. I've seen very friendly, become aggressive, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Is technically, you know, I think you guys got a good pup, friendly little guy, standard stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Is that when you're home, your rules are strict. You're going to have a good dog in your bubble. Okay. Yeah. You go to your parents' house, I would expect He knows he's at grandma's and grandpa's. He's going to play with the rules a bit, right? And I'm like, whatever, because I'm not worried. Everybody's, how do you say, kind of nightmare is an aggressive dog.
Exactly. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's the nightmare.
We've experienced that with one of our old dogs back in the day. He was fine up until like a year, and then he was bad. It was like really aggressive. Little dog, you know, it was like a Sean mix or something.
So was it as a puppy fine, but then at a year old?
Yeah, that's what literally it seemed like it flipped a switch, and he like would come up to you like he was friendly, and then he would snap at you, like bite your hand.
Oh my god, your dog's dad needs training.
That's him. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, and that's why he lives with my dad now, because he lives alone. You know, we're like, this is he's a one owner dog, because like we tried to take him to training, we did all this stuff, and he's just so bad. You know, so that's what my mom keeps worrying about. Like, oh, Theo's so good now, but at a year, what if he gets aggressive? You know. Yeah. My mom.
Yeah. When it comes to that, that's a very common thing. 6 months in a year is when I expect us to get psychological shifts. Okay. For the little guys, it's because they go, as a puppy, unaddressed, uncorrected, because they're small, they're cute, blah, 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 blah. Now at a year, it's teenager brain. Okay. Teenager brain, adult body. And we all know teenagers, like, we push stuff, right? So that's what ends up happening. The dog starts pushing things, but it's like, right? And then you give up because you're like, oh shit, like, dog's aggressive, right? But it's not. It's just a dog pushing something. It's making a boundary. I just correct the dog. That's all it needs. It just needs to be corrected. And like, no, you're gonna cut the shit.
Exactly. So I'm not. I guess I'm not as worried about it with Theo, because if he starts doing that, it'd just be like, no.
Yeah, but for sure, like the moment you see it, correct.
Oh yeah.
Right? So, and like, in terms of breeds and stuff, it's typically the bully breeds where we get these behaviors: pit bulls, bull terriers, Rottweilers, German shepherds, things like that, because they tend to be a little bit more confident than most. And the little guys, like the little guys, because like no one gives them shit, so they think they rule the world. But at the end of the day, once they get their butt whooped, it's a different story. Okay. So with Theo, I wouldn't worry so much about that. And it's kind of just the reality of life. Completely up to you. If you decide like you're going to be strict even with mom and dad, I applaud you. Otherwise, if it's like, you know what, we just want to have a good time, spend time with family, and then when we come back, Theo. I have a dog named Leo too. Theo is good when we're alone and we're in our bubble and we go out and stuff like that. He's great, but we know when we're with grandma and grandpa, it's not going to be the same. Okay. I just care, like anybody else, as long as he's not being aggressive, like legitimately aggressive, or exhibiting any kind of anxiety issues, then I'm not too worried about it.
You might have a little anxiety, I would say.
Well, yeah, we've kind of talked about that before. I mean, the separation anxiety is one thing, but I don't know, like, maybe it's just too much simulation. But like I said, when we took him out that one night to like the patio or whatever, we took him out before and we're like, oh, okay, it's going to be okay. But it was just us two, and there was literally nobody by us, because it was still like initially like the first phase of like everything opening or whatever. And he was okay. But then this time, you didn't really see it in his like attitude and stuff like that, because he was chilling.
That thing
but we gave him like it wasn't a raw hide, but it was a no hide, if you're familiar with those. So it's like little sticks. He ate the whole thing in like 5 minutes.
Not even. I was so surprised.
Yeah. So I was wondering. I mean, we were thinking maybe he's like chewing it like out of like frustration or anxiety or something like that. But I'm not sure.
I've never seen him eat it that fast.
Yeah.
When you were at the patio, was he pacing around a lot? Was he panting a lot?
No, it was like a small space, so he was not really pacing around.
Yeah.
Was he standing?
He was like active though. He wasn't like sitting.
Yeah.
He was like up and like seeing what's happening. There was a lot of people though.
Yeah.
It sounds like if there was anxiety, it was due to overstimulation, because the brain.
That's probably what it was.
And that could be potentially why he did eat the no hide so quickly. So whenever you take them anywhere and expose them, things I look out for are like constant movement, panting, a lot of panting, or like the inability to lay down for a period of time. So you like to see them lay down, He'll get up, walk over, lay down, get up, walk away, lay down, get up, walk away, right? It's just a lot of movement.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of anxiety. From what I've seen of Theo, when I've heard about him, he sounds just like kind of like an overstimulated kind of guy as is.
Mm-hmm.
So I just keep an eye on it. That's not so much like you can disagree with like certain things through physical corrections. Other things are really discipline behind formal obedience. Okay, which is big boy stuff, which is, you know, when he's 6 months or whatever, if needed. But I would just keep an eye on it. I'm not too concerned about it at the moment.
Yeah, because he's still really young. I mean, we didn't. I don't know.
I mean, he's better with like bikes and stuff. Like he used to be like really scared of bikes, like strollers.
Yeah, he's it was still a skateboard or someone was riding the other day. He was like, oh my god! And he was like walking one way and then he just literally 180 sprinted the other way. Like holy moly!
And stuff like that. I don't hold against the dog because it's not natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
But like fireworks that have been going off, he like looks, but he doesn't like get freaked out like some dogs.
Sure.
But I just figured it's because he got used to like from literally the day we had him, they got him.
The loud noise.
Yeah, there's like, you know, buses and all this stuff that's driving by, cars honking and whatnot. And
I took him under a bridge the other day, and it was really loud. There's cars upstairs to the side.
He was okay.
You could see he was a little like
yeah, there was a lot going on, but I guess it's just over time he gets used to it, I guess. You know, like a lot of those little things that are one noise isolated kind of further away, he's like, okay, that's no big deal, you know.
Sure.
But I guess it just takes
when
time.
you do fireworks, has it been indoors or both indoors and outdoors?
Outdoors.
But they were kind of far.
But they were, it wasn't like, next door someone's blowing off a half stick or something, you know.
Yeah, 4th of July is like dogs hate 4th of July.
Yeah.
And my dogs used to be fine until about a year or two ago. I was in my aunt's backyard taking them out the potty, and a neighbor blew up a firework and it exploded right above us.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, my dogs are like, they will not go potty outside. They'll sleep for like literally 24 hours, 36 hours, and not potty until it's done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So things can always change,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Definitely the exposure is good, which is why I insist that people walk their dogs. Veterinarians say not to walk them. I'm like, no, that this is the exposure time.
Exactly.
Get them out, get them desensitized, learn what they're going to get over and what they're not going to get over. So if you need to make more work towards something, you know. So all that stuff is standard. But, you know, even if something happens down the line in the future, again, things can always change from experience. But pretty standard stuff.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that was it. That was like the couple things that you mentioned, but
okay. How is he doing with the treat training stuff?
Good. Seems like it, but it also seems like, you know, when you start a new session, he still is very excited, you know.
Sure.
So it takes like a couple seconds for him to like get back in the groove, I guess. Because he already knows like where the treats are and stuff like that. So he gets all hyped and stuff
like when we
that.
reach in there. He never scratches on the door.
He never scratches on it, but he knows like as soon as we're there, he's already like sitting waiting, you know.
And we haven't had a potty mistake in a long time.
Yeah, he's been also really good with that. I don't know. Yeah, probably it's been 2 weeks at least.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Or last time, since we met with you last time, I remember he had one accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hasn't been since we met with you last time.
That's good. So keep doing what you're doing. And for the treat stuff, like my guys, if I grab the e-collar or their leash or their food or whatever, like they get excited too, right? Mm-hmm. They're just not like jumping and barking at me and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll go and they'll sit in their spot and their tails wagging and all that. So like that's all normal. Mm-hmm. I really just care about the over exuberant excitement, you know.
I mean, when his food's coming, he's jumping.
No, yeah.
Oh, sure. So actually, a thing you can do for that, which actually helps promote calmness, is this tends to work reverse. Okay, is once you serve his food, where do you feed him?
In the living room. Okay. Yeah, like over there. I know. I think you said
right there. Okay. So does he like run to a spot? to eat his food?
I mean, he like runs like right next to.
Would
the
you mean
bowl.
like does he grab his food and then go to a spot to eat it?
No, like let's say you're serving the food, right? Some puppies will like run over to where you normally serve them.
Yeah.
Or they'll be here, and then once you walk over, they'll go and run to a spot.
That's what it is. He'll like lay against the door because there's like a little step up into the kitchen area, and then it's in one of the cabinets over there. So he'll like be laying on the door watching you, like looking at like what are you doing exactly.
Sure.
And then once you pour it out, put it in the bowl, then he like gets excited and like runs down. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what you'll do is serve your food like normal.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the spot where you're going to serve them. When you go to put the food bowl down, I'm assuming he just kind of just dives in.
Yes.
Okay.
So we try to like be like chill kind of thing.
He like sits, but then like he doesn't like wait. Yeah. Like he like sits, but like as we're pouring it, he's like.
Sure. So what you want to do is, have the bowl picked up, serve the food, go to the spot, and as you go to put it on the floor, if he's jumping or moves towards where you're going to put it down, you're going to just pick it back up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you're going to keep repeating this. And eventually he's going to get, and there's no words here. Eventually he gets frustrated and he'll put his butt down. He's going to sit. Okay. I then go down to lower it. He's going to stand up. I'm going to pick it up again. He's going to put his butt down. And I keep repeating that.
Yeah.
And eventually I'm going to get it all the way down to the ground. And then he's going to get up again and I'm going to pick it up. Okay. So what he's learning is, every time if he keeps his butt down, the food comes down faster. If he picks his butt up, the food disappears. Okay. This is no words. This is no sit, none of that stuff. And eventually I put the food bowl down. I try to remove my hand. He gets up. I pick it up and I put it away. Okay. Eventually I could put it down and remove my hand. And he's going to, like, at the beginning, probably look at the bowl. And then I say the word okay. Some people say, I say break. I'm sorry. Some people say okay. Some people say free. I say break. Break means, okay, now you can eat, right? And it works backwards in the sense that once he creates the association of like, oh, if I just keep my butt here, the food just comes down straight, and then that word break comes out faster. Mm-hmm. But if I keep getting up, the food keeps disappearing, right? Yeah. And you end up getting a calmer dog in that setting because that's what gets him the food the quickest.
Yeah.
That makes sense? And it's a super easy thing. The first time it usually takes like 5, maybe 10 minutes. But once the puppy gets the concept, each time is easier. And so eventually you'll start pouring the food and all that. And he's already sitting in the spot just waiting. You put the bowl down and he's just looking at you. And then I go, okay, break. And then he can eat.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. It's pretty, I mean, I guess if you think about it, it's really simple, you know?
I think we tried doing that, but we just stopped.
Yeah. We probably didn't follow through with it because I think I do remember doing that. But then we're just like, all right, whatever, you know?
Yeah,
so,
you know.
He's got to just get that association, but he's quick. Like he'll get it. Honestly, it probably won't even take that many times for him to get that like association.
Yeah, so just stick with it. The first time is always the hardest, and then each time should get progressively easier. Mm-hmm. And I like it a lot for my puppies that are really like overexcited because it's just another thing where we reward calmness.
Yeah.
Because remember, anytime you give Theo anything positive, you want to think of not the physical state, but the mental state. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is why little dogs have such issues, because since they look like puppies, when they do things like jump and all that, it looks cute. Mm-hmm. Right. But then eventually they end up with a dog that's always stuck in this kind of erratic state because that state always got reinforced. Mm-hmm. So, and this is from a puppy growing up. So if I always reward calmness, then that's what your dog becomes. You know, whether you're giving them a no hide or you're giving them his food or if you're giving them water, if you're petting them, anytime you're giving something, I'm always looking at mental state. And every now and then you're going to get excitement. Like if I go to my dogs and I decide to pet them, like their tail wags and stuff and they get excited, but it's a very chill just level of excitement, you know? And then if they get too excited, then I correct them and I go, nope, that's too far.
Yep.
You know? And that's what's going to shape a well-balanced or well-rounded dog is whenever you reward, always reward a state that you like. I'm not opposed to excitement, but like if it's too much, then your dog becomes this, you know, jacked up on Mountain Dew, schnauzer. Okay. Anything else?
But
he's taking a nap.
yeah, he's taking a nap now. Where I was just
Right.
looking at him. But yeah, he seems like he has a lot more energy. And I think just overall,
He doesn't nap as
napping overall less, and has just seems like he keeps going and going and going. But I remember in that, I think it was the Wrinkles video, you talked about how there was like some formula essentially for how old they are to how many minutes of like intense play they can handle.
Yeah.
I think it was like 5 minutes per month or something like that.
Right.
So it's just interesting because I think we're starting to see like the effects of that now a little bit more. Like I felt like he slept all the time like before, and even though it's only been a few months, like he's just way more like, I don't know, I guess.
very active.
Yeah, he's just way more active, which is not bad. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I'd keep an eye on his activity level. So
Mhm.
dogs typically sleep 16 to 20 hours a day.
mhm.
Okay. And if you feel like
Dogs or puppies? Dogs.
dogs, yeah. So as he matures, right? You should, like right now, I'm kind of giving him a little window, but I'm already picking up signs, like, you know, when you mentioned the anxiety due to overstimulation, like a lot of what you're saying is all, yes, that's very typical of those personality types. Is you'll have a more active dog that sleeps less because he doesn't know how to turn off. Okay, and that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so just keep an eye on that. With you correcting things like the barking in the kennel, that's actually what helps correct those kinds of issues.
Yeah.
Corrections is what teaches dogs to create an off switch. So that Labrador video, when she charges in and she's like shuts it all down.
Yeah.
Most people, they think, oh, you know, that's typical puppy behavior. I'm like, it is, but you can disagree with it, just like she did, right?
Yeah.
And she went in and for whatever reason decided, like, nope, you guys are gonna just chill out and just shut it down.
I didn't show you. I don't think you watched that one. I didn't forward you. I gotta forward you the email, but it's a good one because like all the puppies are going nuts, and then the mom comes in and she just like puts everyone in their place, and then one of the puppies, I already was like, ooh, I already know what's gonna happen. Like the puppy bit the mom's tail, ooh, and she put him in his place so fast.
Yeah,
it was great. I love watching dogs.
That thing there, right, that she did, that context, that type of discipline is what helps dogs like Theo. Because she's saying off switch now, right? And they comply. And it's the same thing for Theo. If no one teaches him or tells him you need to develop an off switch, then you get a dog that's constant, just constant activity in an unhealthy fashion, which then leads to anxiety because the brain does not know how to shut down.
Yeah, it's too like wired, hyped, I guess.
I think he responds to like the vibe. Like if we're chilling, he's chilling.
Yeah.
If we're like up and doing stuff, he's up and doing stuff.
Yeah. And when he's up and doing stuff, I don't mind it. But look at his intensity, right?
True.
So it's like, let's say, you know, you guys have like a get together with friends and it's just chill, right? Just talking, catching up, haven't seen you in a couple of months, blah, 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 blah. But then there's that one person that's just like in party mode.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like it's just the calculation is it's not there. The self-awareness of like, oh, I'm in a setting where it's like really chill. Or if you like go to a dinner at a nice restaurant, it's very quiet, but there's like one very loud couple. You know, they just don't have that self-awareness of like, hey, we need to dial it down because of the setting.
Yeah.
So think of that with Theo. Let's say I just get up and just walk to the bedroom, right? And then you look at him and he just zooms into the bedroom. Like, it's disproportionate. Does that make sense?
He doesn't zoom in there, but he walks.
He'll follow you around, and I
us.
think he's just like maybe curious, or he wants to be by you, or something like that.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, but just now when you do things and things change with the energy, just watch Theo and just think: is that energy appropriate to like our energy?
Yeah. One sec, Jesse. I got to take this call real quick. I'll leave you.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he like follows us a lot. Like right now, Alex left, and he's already like, oh,
Where are you going?
But I think he's chilling right now, so he's okay. But like, if I'm the only person in the house, he's following me everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's like bad separation anxiety. I feel like that's not good.
Right. So, like, let's say you just get up to go to the bedroom real quick to grab something, right? And it's been followed you. Like it's normal pack behavior, but depending on the personality type, if it goes unaddressed, it could potentially lead to like the separation anxiety when you're gone.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'll correct dogs for following me because I want them to be independent.
Right.
So like yeah, so like my guys, if I get up, you know, they might, if they're sleeping, they might pick up their head and look like, where you going, and then just go right back to sleep again. You know, they could care less where I go.
It depends how tired he is.
Yeah. So I just keep an eye, and if it's just you and him, that's different, right? Like right now, if he's in the room with you and then Alex left and he got up and shot after Alex, like that's kind of off just because he's already in the presence of somebody else. That would definitely be a sign of attachment issues.
Yeah, or I mean, well, so let's, in the morning sometimes when Alex goes to work and I'm sitting here and Alex leaves, he'll whine for like a few minutes and like by the door.
Sure. And then does he ever like walk away and just go off on his own?
I mean, eventually, but like when Alex leaves right away, he's like by the door, like whining, like crying after him.
Sure. I'd keep an eye on it. As long as he like quiets down and like lets it go, that's fine. If it's taking him a period of time, because if you're present there with him, like he's not alone. Right. So like I don't care if you were to follow and then like, all right, you're leaving, goodbye, and then just whatever, and like lay next to you or lay on his beanbag or whatever. But the fact that he's whining and he still's got someone else is a little bit of separation anxiety. So I would just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But if you want to correct, it's essentially like if I get up and walk and he goes to follow me, I just bonk the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like where I go is none of your business.
Yeah.
You know, which for people, they feel bad because they either like the fact that their dog is following them and they think it's cute. But I'm always thinking about behaviorally what it may potentially lead to, because you don't know until it actually happens.
Right.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
I think that's basically all. I mean, overall, I think he's really good.
Okay. So
a few things.
Let's go ahead and we'll shift the camera around. We'll grab our treats.
Theo,
show me
what buddy.
What you've been doing.
He's on his beanbag. Theo, it's trying to work, bud. Come here. All right, I hope. Come on. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Bring it to his nose and then slowly back away. There you go. Yep, keep it a little bit lower. That's good.
Oh, you're stretching. You're stretching. No, come on. He's tired. Oh, yeah, you gotta go on. You gotta work for it, though. Come here. Come here.
So lazy.
I know. You gotta get up, dude. Come on. Come here. I know you want it. Oh my goodness. This is what he does when he first wakes up, so this is probably bad. He watches belly rub and stuff, right? Come on. You're making us look bad. Okay.
There he goes. Good.
Good boy. So I've been trying to teach him, like, stay, but I need more.
Okay, sure. Good.
Okay, come here. Good boy. So he's been okay with that. I don't know if you see him, yeah, you can't, but
yeah, no, that was.
He's been like pretty good with this stay.
Okay.
I've been trying.
Have you tried teaching him how to lay down?
Yeah. Well, he went. I'm gonna try to do it from standing to sit right away.
Sure.
That was. Come here. Up. Lazy.
Yeah. So back to his nose. Right. Good.
Oh my goodness.
That's good.
Good boy. Good boy.
Very good.
I just do like the spits down. That means lay down.
So what we can do here is for the sit, you can add the word now, but you want to give the word just before you're going to lift your hand. Okay. So you'd say sit and then slowly raise your hand to cue the motion.
Sorry, Jesse, I'm back.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so you want me to say sit?
Right. So go ahead and bring your food, your treat to his nose, and then lure him back towards you. Yep, back to his nose.
You just woke up. Come here.
There it is.
Now say sit and then lift your hand.
Sit.
And now feed.
Good boy.
Okay, so people tend to just say the word, and then sometimes a dog will do it randomly, and like they reward it, but it was like it did it. How to say it doesn't really connect. So I do. Once I teach the motion, I give the cue, and then it's the motion, and then it's the reward once he completes the task. Okay. For your down, the down looked good. What I would try is when you go to lure him down, go down only halfway and see what happens.
Okay. Come here. Like this, you mean?
Yeah, and just hold that. Try a little lower. There, and feed.
There it is.
We're going to try that 2 more times.
It's not as good as the salmon, you know?
Maybe we have beagles. With lots of food.
Oh, yeah.
Come here.
There it is. All right.
There, and feed.
Wow, bud. You're so smart.
Good. 2 more.
You're so smart, buddy.
Oh, now he's getting in the groove.
Good.
Good boy.
1 more.
He's like, I'm already laying down. Isn't that what you want?
You just give it to me already.
Yeah.
And then slowly, keep where you're at, and then slowly just back up your hand. Try again. Back to his nose, and then slowly back, yeah. Right? Back, yep.
Oh, boy. They were tired today, I guess. Oh, there he is.
There you go. Good.
There you go.
So, I'm sure you figured out what we're doing here for the down.
Yeah.
We're not going down all the way, right? We're not bringing that
Yeah.
fist all the way down. So, it's just a pet peeve of mine when I see people go down and they go all the way down to the ground.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, that's what I do. Like
Yeah.
this is down.
But it's fine in the beginning because you have to teach it, right? So he definitely has the concept, which is good. But now I want him to start going down with me doing less work, essentially. Okay, and what we do is we slowly, how would you say, or less and less, like we bring our hand down less and less each time until he recognizes that visual cue of like when he sees your fist in that particular fashion, it means to lay down, and you even though you're still standing.
I think he's confused because I kind of do this with sit.
So with sit, you'd want to have like an upwards motion with your hand, and then with the down, or you can even put your fist upside down, as opposed to like straight down like this.
They can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, like this?
No, so like he was saying like this as opposed to this. So like when you do sit, you have it like this, right? And then when you want to go down.
So for sit, some people do an open palm like
I was doing
this.
this for this.
Yeah.
I mean for sit. So I think he's confused now.
Right.
This is what I've been doing.
So what I would do is in your right hand, go ahead and open your hand up like this. Okay? And then you would lift your hand like this when you're cueing the sit.
Okay. He just sat.
Okay.
With that open hand motion.
So what you do there is you're just kind of making a more, distinct hand shape each command.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to get him to sit here?
I'm trying to lay down.
Okay.
There he is.
Good boy.
Good. So dogs are really observant on your body language. So like, I had a client who's actually a real good friend of mine now. It took us 3 years to teach his dog how to give paw.
Oh no.
And it was like he would get so pissed off about it because he's like, "Is my dog stupid?" And I finally figured out how to teach the dog to give paw. And then, so what we taught the dog was when he would give the hand out like this, it was like the left paw. And then when he would do knucks, it would be the right paw.
Oh, wow.
So the dog would distinguish the paw he would give according to what the hand motion was with the owner.
Oh, that's crazy.
But it just takes, lots of repetition.
Oh, yeah.
So for Theo here, he looked a lot more still in holding the positions, which is good. Okay, like last week he kept jumping out of position. He wouldn't hold it for very long.
Yeah.
So that was a good improvement. He definitely has a good concept of the down command. I'm just lazy and I don't want to have to reach all the way down to the ground. So I would slowly move your hand down less and less as you practice with them until eventually you can just give the hand motion and he should lay down without you needing to bend down to the ground. When you get it to be that fluid or fluent, that's when I would say the word down itself and incorporate that because right now he's still learning that context. Have you guys taught him paw?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can see him pawing at your hand and all that stuff. Now, one thing I am seeing from Theo is that he's locking up. So
Locking up in terms.
When he would either sit or lay down, he would not get up very easily. He would stay put, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is when you put him in a sit position, have another treat ready to go, and immediately try to lure him out of the position. And when you see Theo get up, you would say the word break, and then you would feed him.
Okay.
And what you're trying to, because it shouldn't be constant having to like go back and back and back in order to get him to get up. But like you mentioned, when he laid down, he's like, I'm already laying down. Just give me the treat already.
Yeah, yeah.
You're trying to teach him that there's more to go, and not just like being stationary is always the answer.
Yeah. All right, here we'll try to do the sit thing.
Yep, that's good.
He's already going at the paw.
Right.
All right.
And then
break.
And then bring your hand to his nose, and then slowly back until he stands up. Back to the nose, slowly back. Yep, back to the nose. That's okay. Back, yep. And then slowly back your hand away, back to his nose.
There it is.
Now break. There you go. Right? So let's try that 2 more times. You're going to lure him into the sit, feed, and then back to his nose, lure him into a stand, and say break when he does so.
Okay. All right, we're still chewing. Break.
There you go. And feed. 1 more.
Now these are some good treats, huh?
Go ahead. I was trying to hold it for a second, so
Yep, that's fine.
Break.
There you go. Better. So that's going to make your life easier when luring him between positions so he doesn't lock up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm seeing a potential trick here that Theo could learn. Do you guys see it?
No.
All right. Go ahead and get a couple of treats.
Yeah.
And you're going to, same thing, you're going to put him in a sit, and you're going to be ready with the second one. Once he finishes it, you're going to bring it back to his nose and then slowly go above his head until he lifts his paws like this, okay?
All right, here, ready? So reward him when he sits?
Correct. And then, yep.
Good.
And then back to the nose once he's done.
No.
All right. Now here, go to his nose and then try to bring him back up to a sit slowly. Yeah. And then back to his nose. Up. Yep. There you go. And then try to keep him in that sit as best you can. Good. There you go. Right there.
There he is.
Okay.
Oh, whoops.
It's okay. So.
All right. Yeah, I see. Uh-huh.
It's the begging thing, right? Where he puts his paws up like this. But he has to build his stomach muscles to hold balance.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do here is teach him to sit on his haunches, but he's gonna put his paws on your wrist to hold balance. That's okay in the beginning.
Yeah.
What should we do for that?
There you go, like that. There you go, and just feed him as soon as he does it. That's okay for now, because you're trying to teach him another option. Okay, so he's thinking, oh, I can sit and I get something, or I can sit on my haunches and put my paws up and also potentially get something. Good.
Good. Yes.
There you go.
Good boy, Theo.
So then, as you start to see him offer that more quickly, I start to make it more difficult by like making him hold it for longer.
Yeah.
Half a second to a second to start until eventually he builds his balance and stomach muscles, and he's able to hold that position without needing your hand or wrist to balance. The other thing I saw that you could probably teach him is rollover.
Yeah.
So
How do we do that?
You lure him into a down, and then use your hand going over his head to get him to twist over. Almost.
There he
Good.
is. Okay.
Now go to his right. There you go. There.
You're such a fast learner.
Yeah, he is a super, super fast learner, I feel like.
Good. So when you're working with Theo, remember, anytime you see something, if you like it, you can reward it and turn it into something. Okay. So for this week, try the rollover, and you can do either side, right? And then the balancing. It's going to take a while before he's going to have it well enough where he can hold on to like your hand, but then eventually removing your hand so that he's like in a begging or sit pretty motion.
Yeah.
So that one does take longer, but otherwise, that's how it all starts.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Great. No, and then I'm actually gonna forward Angie that email you sent me, and we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at the stuff this week.
For sure. Okay.
So I might have work next Friday.
Okay.
So I'll just contact Maria about what other day will work for us.
Yeah, you just let her know. She'll take care of it.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.